With me standing there in the doorway, I watched my father punch my mother so hard that she spit up blood. That moment, probably more than any other moment in my life.
What's going on, everybody? Schuyler Diehm here, men's lifestyle fat loss coach, and today we are breaking down episode 5 of Will Smith's series, Best Shape of My Life. If you're catching up, we've got all the other episodes in the description of this video, and we've also got basically a recap real quick right here, is that Will Smith gained a bunch of weight last year, and it was for a movie role, and then quarantine hit, he couldn't lose it, so this is a documentary of him trying to lose 20 pounds in 20 weeks, and I'm not too happy with how he's doing it, but that's all right. With that being said, let's get into the episode.
I don't want to do any of this. We blew it. We missed it. It's over, and we got to stop, and I'm ready to stop. I'm finished with the best shape of my life.
No, you're not. No, you're not.
In 2017, I was on the jury at the Cannes Film Festival. It was day 5, and we'd already watched 14 movies. With one more movie to watch before dinner, I needed a beat to be quiet and reset. I had 30 minutes to hit the gym before rejoining the jury. I had told myself that this was my time, for me, and I had promised myself that I would not allow anyone to infringe on it. Midway through my second set, a 30-something black dude with a British accent entered and immediately noticed me. He whipped out his phone as he approached. "Hey, Will," he said, "say hi to my cousin." I reached up, putting my hand over the lens of his camera and pushed it down. "Hey, sorry, man," I said. "I'm training right now." "Oh, it's just a quick video, Will," he said. "My cousin has Down syndrome. He loves you. I promise it'll be quick. The Fresh Prince is the only thing that makes him smile." "I'm sorry, man," I said, "but no."
Wow.
He looked at me with such disbelief. "But why not, Will?" I paused. I searched for the deepest, most honest answer, because I don't want to. The man shook his head in disgust, turned, and left the gym. I knew I had done right by myself, but I hated that someone else, an innocent, had gotten caught in the crossfire of my internal war. I went back to my room.
Dude, this book is going to be so good.
Stop crying.
Are you ready, Chaz?
Yeah. That's a nice hotel, man.
Test.
I'm with it, let's get it. So Dex is here now. Dex and Jazz. And just so everybody knows, I'm saying it officially. I know this one's me. This is for my book. I'm at a calorie deficit and I'm in here crying every day writing the book, right? So I might not all the way be myself right now.
But what is the deal over the next 8 weeks though? So is it
So this is the shoot.
and
Yeah, we're not gonna worry about that. I'm gonna put some regular clothes on.
Yeah,
okay.
You guys get-
So Will let us in and has agreed to shoot, but some executives here from the production company. So I guess we'll see how this plays out.
When you're trying to drop weight, when you're trying to be at a deficit, and you're trying to write your memoir at the same time, it's everything you have. Yeah. Right? And a deadline, right? I'm doing something that's important to me right now. Leave me alone. I want to make art and I want to create. Like, don't tell me about the schedule. I don't want the show or something like that. Mindset is disruptive to me in the creative process.
The journey itself of my actual transformation and the show have somehow gotten out of sync.
I think anytime that you're embarking on a journey of this sort, it's about transformation, right?
It's like I lost my guys a little bit, and they became company men.
I think when we talked, I feel like we talked on December 26th or whatever, you thought the show will keep me accountable for the journey.
Right, yeah. It's like I'm not trying to make a show. I'm trying to do what I'm doing, shoot it, and you make a show. Right?
Yep.
Right. The budget, the deadline, they'll get what we give them.
That's real, man. I respect that. I really do. right? Less about the creation. I talked about this in my previous video. It's less about the content creation and the entertainment and appearing on camera, right? Because I was kind of thinking like a lot of this seems like it's for the cameras. It feels like they're making this more difficult than it has to be for the cameras and the entertainment aspect. So I guess they were. I don't know if it was intentionally or it just happened. And then now Will kind of hit his breaking point of like, no, I can do this. I just don't want to make it into this extravagant thing.
Will is really, in a very real way, committing to the idea that he cannot sacrifice his mental health in the name of these other sorts of journeys that he wants to
Rightfully
go
so,
on.
man.
Because let me tell you, on mental health, there's not as many second chances.
Yeah.
7, 8, 9,
Priority number 1.
12, 13, 14, 15, 16 weeks.
16 weeks, right? So that's supposed to be roughly 205. I'm not gonna be 205.
No, you're not.
And the thing that I'm trying to do also is to not tap into my old mindset, because I can do anything when I, tap into that soldier.
Right, so it's
Right.
not about the harsh energy. It's more about
A more sustainable mindset.
Yeah. 2-a-days and running and calorie
205.4,
deficit
that
is
one's
not
up,
sustainable.
So
That's not a sustainable mindset.
we'll go with the 205.4. Give me a little cushion for next week.
He's looking good though, man. Built some muscle, burned some fat.
Hey, Will, reminder, we never got those chapters over to the publishers last week. Call me back when you get a sec.
There's a funny thing with deadlines, right? So artists need deadlines and need budgetary confines to get jammed into the work. Like, I needed the deadline to be looming in order to force me to dive into those areas of myself that I've been avoiding for my whole life, basically. So in the book, I have a real button on people getting lost in their emotions. I hate it. Like, it signals destruction to me, right? Somebody is, freaking out. And even Daddy-O would crack us for that shit growing up. Oh my God, Dad, is it? We were raised at base survival.
Yeah. Even when we weren't.
Right.
Even when it wasn't.
Yeah.
Survival, the mentality.
The mentality was base survival. So this is the pivot point, right? And I can't even think about the damn thing without being like, nah. But it's the center of every difficulty of my adult life. We all delude ourselves a little bit around the things that scare us. We invent these stories to protect ourselves. Sometimes we'd rather blindfold ourselves than take a cold, hard look at the world exactly as it is. My first impulse is always to clean up the truth in my mind. I redesign it and replace it with whatever suits me, or really whatever suits you. I'm a crowd pleaser. I'm a master storyteller. I thought about showing you the flawless diamond, a swaggy, unbreakable winner, a fantasy image of a successful human being. The truth is whatever I decide to make you believe, and I will make you believe it. That's what I do. Of course, there's the red carpet walking, tight fade wearing, box office record breaking, I am legend, pull up doing, jiggy ass Will Smith. And then there's me. This book is about me. Act 1, Chapter 1, Fear. Daddy-O was one of the greatest blessings of my life, and also one of my greatest sources of pain. There were 2 issues. First, he had a brutal temper. And second, his drinking. When he was angry or drunk, he became an idiot. He would break his own rules, subvert his own objectives, destroy his own things. My mom is in many ways the total opposite of my father. Whereas Daddy-O was the boisterous, charismatic center of attention, my mom carried a quiet, reserved elegance. She loved words and always chose them carefully. My mother spoke with an academic sophistication. As much as we all suffered under Daddy-O's militaristic views of love and family, nobody suffered more than my mother. Each of my siblings remembers that night in the bedroom. With me standing there in the doorway, I watched my father punch my mother so hard that she spit up blood. That moment, probably more than any other moment in my life, has defined who I am today. Each of my siblings responded differently in ways that would go on to define who we were for much of our lives. If Harry was fight, Ellen was flight, and I became a pleaser. I wanted to please and placate him because as long as Daddy-O was laughing and smiling, I believed we would be safe. I was the entertainer in the family. I wanted to keep everything light and fun and joyful. And while this psychological response would later bear artistic and financial fruits, it also meant that my little 9-year-old brain processed Daddy-O's abusive episodes as somehow being my fault. I should have been able to keep my father satisfied. I should have been able to protect my mother. I should have been able to make the family stable and happy.
chills,
I should
man.
have been able to make everything all right.
I gotta
But
get
that
this
night in the
book.
bedroom, watching my father's fists collide with the woman I loved most in the world, watching as she collapsed on the ground, helpless, I just stood there. I was my mom's oldest son. I was less than 10 yards away, and I was the only chance she had for help. Yet I did nothing. It was then that my young identity congealed in my mind, an unshakable feeling that no matter what I have done, no matter how successful I've become, no matter how much money I've made or how many #1 hits I've had, how many box office records I've broken, there's that subtle and silent feeling always pulsating in the back of my mind that I'm a coward, that I failed, that I'm sorry, Mom, I'm so sorry.
Okay. Sure. Oh, exactly. I didn't know what to wear on the shirt. No.
So everyone has met my mom. So my mom, I read the chapter for the first time yesterday. Yeah, so we, and she still agreed to come sit with us. No, but if you, yeah.
I feel like you had an option as to whether to be there or to choose to leave.
I said, no, I'm not going to do this with my children there. No, this is, I'm not going to make them more upset with me screaming and hollering.
One of the things you said that was really strong, too, you said part of the reason that you were standing up to Daddy is because you knew your kids were...
Yeah, yes.
You knew your kids could hear, and you knew your kids could see.
Yes.
And she wanted us to think he wasn't hurting her.
Maybe had I been more submissive, things may have been different. I grit my teeth and buckle down. My children aren't going to be more rattled because I'm rattled.
Simultaneously teaching him that that's not how you treat a woman.
That was the only time in my life that I ever considered suicide. That was the only time in my life that I ever thought about killing myself, because it was all my failure in my mind.
You know, the whole idea of me thinking of myself as a coward was new for her. You know, it's like we never talked about it. The idea that I felt like I should have done something was so, foreign. So she reassured little Will that there was nothing that he could have done.
I never thought he was a coward.
Of course. Yeah, you tend to take on responsibility for stuff.
Right. Which is a way of maintaining control, even if it's a dire, dark narrative. And I think that all of that responsibility taking is a way of controlling something you did throughout your career.
It was probably like a trauma reaction.
He watched his mother be physically abused. There was this real sense of fear. His father held the family in sort of the throes of fear, so everybody would sort of snap to it. In order for a child to survive that, they better have a rich imaginary world. So he got to take his imaginary world, the place he'd worked stuff through, and turned it into entertainment.
I was always intrigued with my mind, and very young, I knew I could feel how I wanted to feel. Right? I had spent enough time in my mind, that I knew I could ignore things, I could concentrate on other things, I could paint pictures. I knew that I could get to a smile. It didn't matter what was going on. I could contort my mind to find a smile.
Will quitting the show may look like a failure to a lot of people, but there's actually another way to look at it.
Right?
As a breakthrough. Perhaps for the first time, Will is choosing himself. He's not hiding behind humor or control or the idea of winning. Instead, he's giving himself space to process and deal with his past.
I like that, man. Deepest diving pool. Why is Dubai got all this extraordinary stuff? Whoa.
No problem.
Dude. That looks so cool.
We'll just swim a nice slow descent. Is that okay?
Chapter 16, Purpose. I asked myself, if you could snap your fingers and have any life you wanted, what would it look like? This question led me into an area of my inner world that had danger signs all over it. The answer would have to be extracted from the murky, swampy shadow regions of my psyche. What if I rip down all the boards and barriers and barricades, and whatever demon is in there takes over? What if I can't put it back? What if I like it being out?
Would you like to go a little deeper?
But I approached the dark place. I wanted to see what was in there. What are Will's feelings, Will's opinions, Will's needs, Will's ideas? Who are you really?
Ooh, is this his dad?
Okay.
All right. So, interesting turn. I'm really, really interested in seeing if this is something that they just pivot and make it all about his life and his book. I would love them to still focus on the fat loss end of things, still focus on the strategy. If he does get a chance to work out, to still film that, because that's where my passion lies. But I also love the psychology side of things. Like, it's really cool to see his perspective and kind of why he is the way he is. Another thing they didn't really mention that I think comes from how he reacted when he was a child is like this deep fear that if I'm not funny, something bad could happen. Because even if you don't consciously realize it, if that subconscious pattern is, hey, I need to be funny at all times, and if I'm not, something bad happens, then the yearning to be even funnier and funnier is a lot of pressure, and it just grows and grows. Really interesting, man. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you're interested in learning what we do, how we do it, how we help guys lose fat in a very lifestyle manner, very simple, check the link of this, or the description of this video. We've got a link for free training we put together there. It just basically lays out everything we do from A to Z. So check that out. Subscribe to the channel if you're looking for more awesome videos. Of course, as always, make sure to eat smart, move more, sleep deep, and be grateful for this moment. See you in the next video.